recreating over £100,000 worth of logos in 60 minutes. Can I do it? More importantly, do any of us even care? I've dropped a few timestamps along the bottom of this one because I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about how much a logo should cost, why people perceive logos as certain costs, the reason why I'm doing this in the first place, and then the challenge itself. But if you want to jump straight to the challenge to watch me stress myself out like a fool, you can just click down below and jump straight to it. But if you have a few moments, let's have a chat. Okay, you're still here. I'm going to start by attempting to answer the age-old question, how much is a logo? This question gets asked just as much by potential buyers as it does by designers themselves when they're first starting out in the industry. And here's my little take on it. Let's think of the exact same question, but let's relate it to a car. If I asked you, how much is a car? You'd probably say somewhere between £100 and a couple of million. And it depends on what you're after and how much money you've got and how much worth you place on a car in the first place. And logos are kind of the same thing. So if you asked me to quote you for a logo right now, and I said, that'll be £600, please, you're going to react to that in one of three ways. One,
that's too expensive, I'm not paying that.
Two,
Yeah, that's more or less what I was expecting.
or three.
That seems a little bit on the cheap side, boy.
I've no idea what these accents are, by the way. This is because a logo costs as much as it is worth to you, just like a car. Think about it. You can go online right now and find a logo that will cost you about £10. You can also start a conversation today with a high-end branding agency and pay around £10,000. There is no one answer to how much a logo costs. There's no right or wrong answer to how much a logo costs. It literally comes down to how much a logo is worth to you. How much money do you have to spend? How much do you value the skills of the person or the business that's putting it together for you? And how much do you value a logo as an actual investment? So you might just want to go down the cheap end, and that's fine. What you'll most likely get is someone who's fairly inexperienced or someone who's got a bit of experience, but they use pre-existing things. They'll grab templates or bits and pieces of pre-existing logos and kind of mash them together or change little bits of them so they become sort of like yours. But whatever they do to get there, it's designed to be the quickest way possible, and that's why you'll be paying very little. And that's right for some people, that works for some people. There's a place for that, and it's fine. But if you really want to take it seriously, if you see the value in investing it, then you start getting into the higher levels. That's when we get into information gathering, research, market analysis, competitor analysis, brainstorming, meetings, sketching, execution, presentation, revisions, real world applications, and delivery. So don't try and Google the answer to this question, because there isn't one. The real answer is you already know how much a logo is worth to you. The only real decision you have to make is sometimes you'll find someone you want to work with, and they'll give you a price that's maybe a little bit outside your comfort zone. But sometimes pushing yourself into that space means you take the project more seriously, they take the project more seriously, and you do end up with something pretty special at the end. Oh, I've dropped something. Hold on. Go! A lot of people mistake the time they think it takes to create something with the cost they then think it should have. A good example of this is Target's logo. If you look at it, it looks pretty simple, right? There's a circle inside a circle inside a circle. Now the average Joe could look at that and use the dreaded term,
"You can knock that together in 5 minutes."
And in reality, if I was to try and recreate that logo right now, I mean not right now, I'm in a snowy field. Say I wanted to recreate it. I could do that in about 2-3 minutes probably. But recreation is something very different than creation itself. As we've mentioned already, the creative process has a ton of steps involved before you get to the final end product. So the end product can often be replicated very easily, but not necessarily created from scratch very easily. And that is the difference. All right, missus, I think we should go home. What do you reckon? My hands are about to turn blue. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. If you've ever searched the internet for the most expensive logos ever created, you will have most likely come across things like this. BP's logo cost $210 million. Symantec's logo cost 1.2 billion. These are just clickbait figures. You can ignore them entirely. No logo has ever in itself cost that amount of money. A lot of these prices include full branding overhauls, marketing strategies. The Symantec one includes the full acquisition of the company. But today I've chosen to use some of the logos that are referenced in these articles to recreate for my challenge. I've grabbed 12 in total, and the plan is to try and get through as many as possible in 60 minutes. You can see I've already set up my artboard in Illustrator with all of the logos I'll be creating above them for reference. And you can call that cheating if you want, but essentially what I'm doing here is just a big cheat. I didn't create any of these. So if we use the average cost for a high-end sort of logo design, we can roughly assume that each one of these logos on their own cost about £10,000. That's a loosely educated guess, so don't come at me, bro. So with every one I complete, I'm adding 10 grand to the total. Okay, I wanted to do this challenge for two reasons. One, I thought it would amuse myself. Two, to prove a point in a weird sort of way to everybody who thinks a logo should be cheap because it can be created quickly. And yes, before you say it, I'm about to create a load of logos really quickly. But I'm not actually creating these, I'm recreating these. Logos can be recreated quickly. So if you see a logo and you think it would take 5 minutes to produce, you're not necessarily wrong. What you actually mean is it would take 5 minutes to reproduce. If I sat down with the briefs for each one of these logos, it would take me months and months to end up with 12 finished logos for these big brands. All I'm doing today is recreate it, and that's the point. These things take time and skill to do, and I'm going to prove that by using very little skill and very little time to recreate ones that already exist. I hope I've made my point. If I haven't, this'll be awful. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for all of my nonsense waffling. It's time to do this. That's far too dramatic. Let's start the timer. stopping this because this is the point. I had a complete mental breakdown. Completely forgot how Illustrator worked. I forgot how my hands worked and decided to abort and quickly move on to the next one. So yeah, we can call that one a fail. Okay, let's move on. So that's it. 11 logos completed, £110,000 worth. You know what that means, don't you? The next time somebody asks you to knock something together in 5 minutes, you can tell them that 5 minutes equates to 9,167. So enjoy that. I hope this was helpful and or entertaining and or at least troll worthy. And if it wasn't, please feel free to delete me from your section of the internet and I won't bother you again. Until next time, I love you all. Bye.